Hello everyone and welcome back to another BenjiPlays video. So today is the day I've been dreading for a few months now. Is my review of The Walking Dead number 167, A Certain Doom. Now, right off the bat I'm going to have to say spoiler alert is in order. If you have not read the issue then please turn away from this video now, for it may haunt you if you are a fan of The Walking Dead comic. But straight into it, we see Andrea with Rick, and Rick is just so surprised. She just says she's fucked up. She's fucked up real bad, and he's just crying his eyes already. And she says she's sorry, and she just passes out in front of Rick and says, and he's just like, Andrea, Andrea, and then in these massive bold titles he says, somebody help me. We obviously know what's going to happen. Michonne bursts in saying, oh god, what's happened? Michonne explains how it was, she was bitten hours ago and driving all the walkers into the ocean, and he's just so upset. Then we get a Dwight burst in where he sees Sherry, quickly rushes to her aid, sees that she has died and just asks what happened. Rick explains by saying how she tried to stab him and it was an accident. We don't know. Anyway, we get this sort of concerned look from Dwight, and obviously Rick and Michonne carry Andrea to a bed, but Dwight is still in the room. He gives this really concerned look, but I will talk about that look at the end of the review. We get a big page, or like a 3/4 page, of Andrea and Rick by each other's side. Rick asks how did it happen. She asks how she got careless and how Eugene was surrounded by the walkers back in 165. She gives her famous last little word one last time. We don't die. So much for that. But Rick starts breaking down. Andrea says don't. Get out. Get your shit together. Just go. I don't want to sit here and watch you cry until I finally die. This shows her strength. Even in her now darkest hour, she is still showing strength. But then we switch to Carl and Andrea. He still refers to her as Mum, which is kind of heartbreaking in a sense, because we've seen Carl grow up from issue 1 or issue 2, issue 2 and 3 to now. He's grown up. He's killed his father's best friend. He's seen his mother he saw his mother has died. His sister has died, and now he's about to lose his second mum. This is heartbreaking. But then obviously Carl says he's going to stay strong for her. And then she asks about Lydia and says, and obviously she is the one that tells Carl that a relationship is what you make of it. That is true great advice about relationships in general. Robert Kirkman, your writing is astounding. Just saying, man. You are awesome. They talk on for a bit, and then we get Rick and Michonne outside, and then obviously we get a little talk and how Rick can't do this, but Michonne refers back to what he said in 145 after they find Ezekiel. She says, there's something wrong with us all. And obviously they have to keep on living, and Rick still finds his own advice grateful. And then Michonne says, I'll always be here for you until I go. Until she's not. And then we get Eugene saying he's so sorry, it's all his fault. And then obviously Rick accepts his apology, but he says no, it wasn't his fault. And he says this isn't anyone's fault. They just have a nice little hug moment like he did at the end of season 6 of Abraham before he died. And then we get 12 little panels of characters saying goodbye to Andrea, like Eugene, Magna, Yumiko, Heath, Laura, Lydia, Jesus, Maggie, Herschel, Sophia, the 2 old people who I've never really gotten to know their names, Sadiq, Annie, Connie and Luke, and my most shocking one, Negan himself, the big bad guy, says, they weren't going to let me see you. You were a badass and you were hot as fuck. I'd have been honoured for you to be the one to kill me. Negan loves Andrea, like, for her badassery. She was a sharpshooter. She hated Negan from the first time she met him. That is astounding. But obviously, we get more goodbyes from Aaron, Earl Sutton, Michonne, and then Rick. Rick goes on to say, I couldn't save you. At this point my heart is breaking. As I read this for the first time, I was breaking down. I have seen Andrea, I've read Andrea's story from issue 2 to now. This breaks my heart to see it. They talk on for a bit and she says, you're going to miss our little pep talks. Breaking our hearts one reader at a time, Robert Kirkman. Thank you. Then Rick goes to talk on about the Saviours, but Carl's asleep by Andrea's side. He says he's sorry he fell asleep. Andrea says, go to bed, get some sleep, I'll see you in the morning. Carl he says, okay, I love you. But then reading this issue, that's the last words he ever says to her, I love you. That is heartbreaking in itself. And then Rick just tries to help Andrea so much, and he just goes on to say, I can't do this. How all the problems with the Saviours, the death of Sherry, how he's going to deal with the Saviours, the streets are still clogged with the dead, he can't do it. And her dying is just another thing on her overfilled plate. He says he's scared, he's tired, and he's weak, and he can't do it anymore. But in all of her rage, Andrea gives this massive shout saying, you can do this, and you will do this. And obviously, he's so scared to see her die. Imagine, just picture this for a moment. The person you love, the most in the absolute world, dying right in front of you. It's scary to think, but obviously, sadly, people throughout life do experience unexpected losses, like children losing their mothers, their fathers, parents losing their son or daughter. It's absolutely devastating, and it breaks your heart so many times. But this story, it's so impactful so much. Rick goes, I love you so much, and then just Andrea smiles and says, yeah, you do. And then we get this brilliant double page spread of the room. And then, the moment we all feared, Rick looks up, she's gone. The character we have loved from issue 2 is dead. Andrea, and then Rick grabs his gun. He's struggling. He points at her head. He throws it down on the table and just looks. He says, I can't do this anymore. Not without you. This isn't who I am. I can't keep pretending to be stronger than I am. He says he can't do it. He says he won't. And then Andrea grabs him, her lifeless body just grabbing him. She nearly bites his hand at one point, but obviously he pushes her away. They fall over. He calls to her twice more, Andrea. About to shoot her in the cheek, he throws away the gun and says no. Grabs his knife. It is done. The deed has been done. Andrea is dead. He just looks up, and we get this brilliant double page spread of Rick crying by her bedside over her lifeless body. It is heartbreaking to see this major character die. But again, this single page spread alone, these images capture emotions. Charlie Adlard, your imagery is so brilliant. You capture emotions. We see the emotions just from the page. Even though it may have no dialogue, pictures, this sort of picture says more than words ever could. And that is what I love about this series. Rick goes downstairs, leaves the room, goes downstairs to ask for Carl. And then we get this amazing double page spread of everyone outside with Rick. And obviously we get Andrea's last speech again, where it says, people still need you. You have to keep doing what you've been doing. You have to stay strong. Otherwise, this was all for nothing. If this all falls apart, and it will without you, why did you fight so hard? You've built something important. You have to keep fighting for it, no matter what. Carl goes, I'm so sorry, Dad. They have a nice little cuddling moment. These people are counting on you. You've been a shining beacon in a world of darkness. You have made an oasis in a world of shit. And Rick falls to his knees. He goes, I'm sorry, everyone. And she goes, you've made it possible for people to work together, to be a community, to be stronger. And we get this brilliant, again, double page spread of everyone giving Rick the emotions that he sorely needs in his hour of need. And again, it repeats Andrea's speech. That's what makes you stronger. You'll keep going. You have to. That's what these people need. That's what this world needs. And that's just what you do. That speech broke my heart. I was on the bus. I was in tears when I first read this issue. And then we get Rick saying, follow me. There is still so much to do. That shows that he is trying to move forward. But that is the end of the issue. But I'm going to read, obviously there was no letter hacks to this issue, but Robert Kirkman left a eulogy for the character of Andrea at the end of this issue. Literally, last page was his eulogy, and I'm going to read it for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my fans, and to myself, and to Andrea. I feel like I killed a close friend. The deaths in this series are never taken lightly. They are never done with a sense of glee. They weigh on me the same way they weigh on you. These characters are very real to me, and their deaths are upsetting even to me. I plotted this issue out during a plane ride a few months ago. I plot my stories down with pencil and paper, and there I was in my seat, blocking out scenes and written dialogue notes, surrounded by strangers who probably thought I was jotting down a shopping list. As I was writing some of the moments from this issue, I started crying. I found myself glancing around, wiping my eyes, hoping no one would notice. I've been living with this death for months now, and I don't like it. I had plenty of time to change my mind. I had plenty of time just to not do it. I am in control of this story after all, but honestly, sometimes it feels like I'm not. This was one of those times. I don't like this. I don't want this. I want Andrea to live. I want to write more stories with her. I want to see her and Rick grow old together, watch Carl grow up and have kids of his own. I want that kind of happiness in these characters. And yet here we are. Andrea is dead and the story moves on. I don't know why this had to happen, but I know it did. This is another important turning point in the life of this series. I know Andrea's death will mean something, that it will resonate in the stories moving forward for years to come. But still I don't like it. It upsets me. I loved Andrea, and I will truly miss her. Robert Kirkman. That is the end of the issue, and honestly, I'm not ready for 168. I'm just not. Oh, my heart is broken. Andrea, you were an amazing character from Volume 1. Even though you weren't a noticeable character, you have survived so much over the course of this series. Atlanta, Herschel's farm, the prison, the prisoners, the governor himself, Woodbury, in Volume 8. After the prison, so much. The hunters themselves, losing Dale, Billy, Ben, Alan, everyone, countless people that have died. Alexandria, the herd, even though she was not a massive part of that story, but she was still in it. The recovery, falling in love with Rick and Carl themselves. It was so hard for her to move forward, but now she'd fell in love with Rick. And then we had Negan come along. She hated Negan, but in the end, she still wanted him to die, but either way, he respected her and said goodbye in her final moments. And honestly, during the war, during the 2-year time skip, even the Whisperers themselves, dealing with the problems with Lydia and Carl, honestly, Andrea, you will be missed by so many. I feel I'm going to start breaking down in a minute. But anyway, guys, who's ready for 168? I know I'm not. but the story must move forward. I want everyone in the comments to comment, "Rest in peace, Andrea." Well guys, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Actually, no. I want to talk about one more thing. I want to talk about Dwight's look in one of the panels. He looks so concerned. That talks about issue 169. The cover dropped a few weeks ago. And lines we crossed. I think that resonates to the look and obviously the death of Sherry and how he's going to deal with the Saviours. That is intense, and honestly I don't know how it's going to happen, but we're going to have to wait until June for 168 and then July for 169. But anyway guys, this is truly the end of the video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like and a comment down below. Do not forget to share it on all social media, and I will see you in the next Walking Dead review. I'll see you next time.